Hello everyone and welcome to Slipjoint Sawyer. Today we're going to be taking a look at a pretty old and vintage Victorinox Swiss Army knife. Before we jump into that, I just want to give a big shout out to Dan over at BladeBridge Customs. Had a wonderful weekend over at the Sharp Show. He sold a ton of knives, made himself a decent amount of money, and you can see why when you see some of the customs he produces. Here's all his details on here: sales, sharpening, servicing. We've got bladebridge.co.uk. Daniel Bridge, his number here, business number, and if you scan this, it'll take you through to his website, which is just here. And then he's on Instagram at BladeBridge Customs, and he's also on Etsy at Vintage Tool Goods. Now there is a few of these customs he made for the show left. I believe there's 4 or 5, and they're currently on Etsy. I will put the links and a few pictures at the end of the video, the links in the description. He has said as well, if you want to purchase them from him direct, you can save yourself 10% on any of the Etsy prices. So get in touch with them on Instagram, or you can get in touch with me and I'll put him in touch with you. That's fine. Yeah, let's take a look at the knife we're going to be looking at today. So it's a 1960s Spartan. Obviously the model number's a bit hazy for what it was back in the 60s, because it was before they sort of standardized their model numbers. But you can see this here has such good condition in these Cellidor scales. I mean, there's barely even a scratch on them, let alone damage. The condition of this is absolutely ridiculous. I did pick this up from Dan at the show and I got it for an absolute bargain. He's a very generous guy, really kind, and you know, he's providing us with the best things for the best price as far as I'm concerned. But it's a 91mm design, the Spartan, or the standard as this would have been known, which is about 3.6 inches closed. Now this is before they introduced the keyring to the back, so it still has the bail. Now there's a couple of things which make this from the time frame of the 60s. One of that being the tang stamp on the knife, which you can see we've got Victorinox, Switzerland, stainless and Rostfrei. And then we have Victoria Officer Swiss with the crossbow on there. And at the corner here I will put from SacWiki where it tells you about the date. And that puts it between 57 to 73, I think it is. I think that the range is. But then there's a couple of things which make it a bit later on. So the pins were originally hidden from 62 onwards, so this oldest is going to be 62, and then the bail was removed and replaced with a corkscrew with the key rings in 1968. So that does give it a sort of a 6-year range, or this could have been 62 to 68. So definitely makes it in that 60s era. Let's have a walk around the knife. So on the right hand side you have the newer style cap lifter with the flathead screwdriver, and you can see they still have the patent for, you know, when they applied for their patent on the tool. You can see this is when they were granted. Of course, that's no half stop, cam tang all the way around. Excellent action as well. The snap is ridiculous for this. Definitely about a 6 pull all the way around. Left hand side then we have the cap lifter. No half stop, obviously, for the age. You get the wire stripper or wire bender, large flathead screwdriver, cap lifter, and you can see the older ones did have this sort of sharpened edge in here. Be good as like a rope cutter, I guess, or as like a strap cutter. It's not super sharp, but it's sharp enough to sort of, you know, cut heavy duty things like rubber, things like that. Could be really good at stripping wires as well, I'd imagine that would be. But yeah, no half stop and excellent action. Next up we have the main blade, and of course you've seen those tang stamps, but you'll notice something I didn't notice until actually I had this one, is the older ones have a slight swedge at the top here. I don't know if you can make that out. See that there, where it's shining just above the nail neck? It's the same on the reverse as well. You can make it out a bit clearer on this side. Never knew that, so learning something every day. But there's a nice little swedge on that spear point. You know, wish they'd bring that back. That's really cool. But Dan put a wicked sharp edge on this, as he does with everything he sells. Like crazy sharp. Actually scary sharp. Seeing the blade has had a bit of use, so there's some scratch marks on there, but not a problem at all. You're going to expect that with a vintage knife. And honestly, these older sacks, I like to get them with a bit of use on them. It's, you know, someone's cherished it, used it, and as long as it's in good condition, I'm happy to have it as a user as well. It means I get to carry a bit of history. And Spartan, or the Officer as it was originally known before this, or Standard, is, you know, definitely one that I'm going to be using. Fantastic model. But again, no half stop, just really nice cam tang. Blade is, off memory, 2.6 inches full with a 2.4 inch cutting length. So it's going to be very UK legal and one that's going to be friendly in most countries around the world. Obviously, please check to make sure you are able to carry knives. I know there's some countries that don't allow you to carry them at all, or they will, but you have to have a certain reason to carry them, whereas in the UK we can carry a blade non-locking under 3 inches without any problems at all. And my favourite thing about this knife, honestly, is the secondary blade. Back when they used to use a small clip point blade, and honestly, it's absolutely fantastic. I really wish they would bring this back. This one's seen as quite a lot of use, but still got a nice edge, nice size to it. Right about the 1.5, 1.6 inches for the full length. So, I mean, it's way smaller than the main blade, so it's definitely going to be UK legal. The only thing that's not a massive fan of with the bail is when you're using it in this sort of position, it's kind of like in the way, but I mean, it's a secondary tool, so I'm guessing that's, could be the reason why they sort of done away with the bail. I don't want to pull it back too much and damage it, but that's where you could probably use it a bit better. Maybe you could use it in a draw cut like this, or that's quite comfortable there with it being used in there as like a pull cut. But yeah, really nice, excellent mini clip point blade, and you can see that fits in there perfectly. Bail then, of course, being in replacement of the keyring. Well, say in replacement, it was there before the keyring. Looking to get myself some older ones now where you've got the brass exposed pins. That's sort of my go-to goal at the moment. You can see we have the corkscrew on there, and it's the 5-loop corkscrew, which is before they changed it to the 4-loop corkscrew. I can't remember the date off the top of my head, but it's quite early on. See, no pinhole, no scale tools, anything like that. It's before all that sort of came about. And then we have the punch when it changed from the triangle punch on the front here to being the sort of inline on the back punch there with no sewing eye. But look at the edge on that. I think that's original, and the point on there is original as well. I don't think it's ever been used. But fantastic. One I'm really happy to have in my collection, and got it from absolute bargain from a good friend Dan over at BladeBridge Customs. Please make sure you go and check him out. Check out the knives that are going to be for sale at the end of this video. All the proceeds will be going to Dan because he's done some superb work on them. Also going to be linking the Etsy links for these. But I really hope you enjoyed this review. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.